So if you're getting out there to date, you might be frustrated. You might be finding that men seem to be flaking out. They may seem like they're only interested in sex. Maybe they show a bunch of interest and they're really great in the beginning of a relationship, and then they start pulling away or losing interest, and you're left like, what is going on? Why are you wasting my time? I get your emails, I read the comments, I know what's happening, and if you're experiencing any of this, you're gonna wanna watch this video. In this video, I reveal the number one thing that you need to know in order to keep a man interested in you and moving towards commitment. And you're also gonna wanna stay until the end of this video because I'm going to give you one simple rule that will remind you of everything that I teach you in this video and how you can apply it to make a man interested and moving towards commitment. I'm Jason Silver. I'm the dating coach for ambitious women. This is Attract Great Guys. We're gonna dive deep today into male psychology, sharing some things about influence and connection that are really near and dear to me. Just a little bit of the more advanced information that I typically reserve for my personal clients. Some of you have been watching this channel for quite a long time. We just got about 20,000 new subscribers in the past week, so I want to welcome anyone new to the channel, and you're going to get a little bit of a fast track today with some advanced strategies and psychology that I think are really going to be interesting. Now, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button to become part of our crew here. It's right beneath this video, the red subscribe button with the little bell next to it so you get notified of all of my upcoming trainings. And I want to give a little bit of a caveat here because this is important. I get asked this all the time. Okay, you're going to be teaching me psychology strategies to help keep a man interested. Why can't I just be authentic? This just seems too manipulative. It seems too much work. It's fake. If he can't accept me for me, then it's not even worth it. And I understand and agree with you what you're saying, but I think that you're arguing a different point here. I am not talking today about manipulation in the sense of trying to coerce or persuade someone to do something that is not in their best interest or that is not genuine or authentically you. What I'm really talking about is there is a definition of manipulation, which really just means handling something in a skilled way. And we all would like to handle communication and interpersonal relationships in a skilled way. And if you don't think that you do, if you don't think that you try to manipulate in any way, shape, or form, then you are lying to yourself, because if we could just be authentic or genuine all the time, we would come off as completely self-centered and inconsiderate. It would be like going to work in our pajamas or underwear because that's how we authentically feel. Quite frankly, that would be inconsiderate. And we would know that because we understand that what we wear influences what other people think about us. And that's a real obvious thing. However, 99% of what we're communicating to people and influencing what they think about us, we're not even aware of. So what I want to do today is I want to reveal some of that communication so you're at least conscious about it. That's the first step. And then you can become proactive and you can start changing the way that you communicate in a way that is authentic to you, but also aware of how it's impacting the other person. And if you don't want to take the time, if you just want to say, I'm going to be authentic, I'm going to communicate however I want to be, that's who I am, I consider that a little bit selfish, because at the end of the day, communication is about the other person understanding you and you understanding the other person. And if you're not going to take the time to learn how to best communicate with different people, and communication is not an innate skill that we're all born with. I mean, I certainly wasn't taught healthy communication from my family. It was something that I had to learn. So just know that every moment, the things that you say, the actions that you take, they're influencing what other people think about you, what the guy thinks about you, how he relates to you. And if you're not conscious of what you're doing, then you might be communicating things in a way that you might not even think that you're communicating it. So really, this is just about understanding, deep understanding, so you can communicate what's most important to you and what you are meaning to communicate, not just what is subconsciously happening and you're not even thinking about it. And one more thing here. If you are trying to manipulate someone for your own self-centered needs, meaning if there's a guy and he probably would be better off with someone else, but you really like him, you're really attracted to him, so you're gonna try to influence him or manipulate him into liking you, even though it's probably not in his best interest. It's not gonna work. That is not authentic. That is disingenuous, and that is how really negative, bad, harmful relationships happen. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about using the science and art of influence to be able to better understand and communicate to a man that you are the right match for him, if you are. It has to be best for everyone. It's just like if you're calling someone because you know that they have some extra money, you know they donate to different not-for-profits, and you're calling on behalf of a not-for-profit that you're so passionate about, you're going to want to influence them to donate to your not-for-profit because you know that they have the means and you know that the not-for-profit needs it and you're doing it for a good. And in that same respect, I'm assuming that you are using this information for good, to connect with and build a relationship with a man that you know that you can really give to and provide a loving relationship to, and vice versa. He can do the same for you, and together you can really truly create this healthy relationship. So let's jump right into it. I'm actually talking today about a sentence, a single sentence that was written by a man named Blair Warren, and he calls this the one-sentence persuasion. Now, he wrote a short little book about this. He called it the One-Sentence Persuasion Course, and it really revolves around one sentence that is the foundation of influence and persuasion. And I'll read it to you right now. It says, "People will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them throw rocks at their enemies." I'm going to say that one more time. People will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and throw rocks at their enemies. Now, this is a very powerful sentence, and we're going to break it down, and I'm going to walk you through how each sentence applies to your relationship and building a deeper relationship. Now, let me just tell you, this sentence and the principles behind it are extremely powerful. This works. When I started applying these principles, everything changed in my business and in my personal life. So first of all, when I started applying this in my business, I instantly started building what has now become one of the fastest growing dating coach YouTube channels for women, which means that the YouTube algorithm is continuing to refer this to people because they know that I am, the message and the things that I'm saying are aligning very, very much. They're connecting with the types of women that I'm speaking to. It also allowed me to build a partnership with Match.com, and consistently I am one of the top rated webinar educators as someone who is providing the most helpful educational webinars, and my clients are getting massive results. The women that I work with, their lives are changing, their relationships are changing, and I can tell you this not to brag or not to show off. I can tell you this because these principles work. They're very, very powerful. So I just want to let you know that these are things that have been proven not only by myself, but whoever truly applies it. So I encourage you to listen very closely. Now, I'm going to break down the sentence, but you'll notice one thing as part of this sentence. It didn't say anything about you, right? It didn't say anything about what you want. And that is an important part of it, right? Your needs, your desires, your values, all of those things are important if you're going to be influencing someone to get in a connected, committed relationship with you. You're not just trying to influence them to do some random thing. You want them to connect with you. So be aware that when you begin to apply these principles, it will actually start really powerfully repelling certain men away from you and powerfully attracting the right men to you. So that happens when you include your desires and make sure that they're aligned. So I just want to make that very, very clear. When you apply this, you will be more polarizing, and you will find that the wrong men will be repelled. So if you start applying these tactics and you start finding, oh my gosh, guys just don't like me anymore, that's a good thing. That's actually a good thing, because what you're doing without realizing it is you're using the power of polarity, you're filtering these people much quicker, and you're becoming more magnetic to the right types of men, which might just take a little bit more time to find. Now, let's be really honest with each other right now. No one wants a relationship. You think you want a relationship, but that's not true. You actually want the dream that you get from being in a relationship, whether it's an emotion, the feeling of security, whether it's the experience of coming home after a day of work and having someone there that just cares about you deeply, or knowing that you've got that one person in your life that's your person. It's your go-to person, and you are partners and you are a pair. That is why many people want to be in a relationship. They don't want a relationship, they want the feelings and experiences that come from the relationships. And those are dreams. If you think about it, a relationship is just the vessel, just the mechanism that is the pathway to the real dream. Let me give you another example. If you've ever, God forbid, had to take an ambulance somewhere, and I ask you, what kind of a car was it? What kind of a car was an ambulance? Was it a Ford? Was it a Chevrolet? Was it a Mitsubishi? Do you remember what kind of brand car it was? Because there's a 99.9% chance that you not only don't remember, but it doesn't matter at all. That was just the mechanism or the vessel to get you to the hospital, because the end goal, what you really wanted, was to get healed or to have someone healed. That was it. That was the goal of being in the ambulance. That was the dream. We get so caught up with certain things in a relationship and we forget what's most important, which is what we all really want from it. So the important piece to consider here is, what are his dreams? And what are your dreams? What does this look like 10, 20, 30 years from now? This is so important. Why are we waiting 30, 60, 90, 6 months to start talking about things that are so important? Why are we wasting time? Because it's these dreams and you understanding his dreams that's going to truly help you to create an environment, a connection, a relationship, a pathway to those dreams. And if you don't know what they are, then you're basically just focused on all of the wrong things. You're focused on the vessel or the mechanism, what the path looks like versus the destination. So I would encourage you to ask questions and really deeply understand his why. What is the dream? What is the vision? What is the long term? And if you think that's just too serious, then you're missing the whole point of what it is you're doing together. If you're just looking to spend time and hook up and enjoy each other's company, fine. But if you're looking for the dream, if you're looking for that lifelong relationship, then you have to talk about it and you have to understand, and you should be deeply curious about what his dream is, because if you're not, then you're missing the opportunity to build that deeper connection. Now, the next part is justifying his failures. Now, this is something that you'll see in almost any weight loss product. They'll tell you why there's something wrong with your body, or you're not eating right for your blood type, or you're eating too much carbs. There's something baked into it where it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you're eating the wrong food. It's just this one mechanism, this one thing that's going to save you, right? Nobody wants to accept that things are their fault. Nobody. It's a horrible feeling. So anyone that can tell you it's not your fault and make you feel better about yourself, instantly you're going to trust them, you're going to want to give them your attention and focus. Now, I don't encourage you to just breathe BS to a guy and just feed him baloney. However, this is something that's really important to understand, that if you are criticizing, and you can actually look at the first chapter of How to Win Friends and Influence People from Dale Carnegie, and the first chapter is do not criticize, condemn, or complain. It's not that you should be okay with everything and just be copacetic and amicable if a guy does something that's not right or proper. You should still have your boundaries, but it's merely stating that by criticizing someone, you're actually not helping to influence them at all. And you're not putting yourself in a position to be helpful or influential. It's kind of like if you walk up to someone with your hands and you're both standing facing each other and you push against them, well, what's going to happen? They're going to push against as well. So the moment you start criticizing someone, they're going to criticize back. So the only way that you can actually help to influence or be in a place of influence is if you don't criticize or condemn them. Once again, this is not just the caveat here. I could just imagine the comments of angry women. Oh, we should always do whatever men say to do. No, have boundaries. That's very important. But just know that by criticizing a man, you're not helping him. He's not automatically, just because he's someone who can take criticism, just because he's okay with that. In general, you may think that people appreciate criticism, but I can assure you, not only is it mostly not appreciated, it's actually mostly not helpful. And there has to be other ways for you to draw those boundaries or to influence someone besides straight criticism. And if that's working for you and you want to continue criticizing, go ahead. I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm just stating you what has been studied and researched and shown to be true time and time again. Now, the next part on allaying their fears, this is about understanding almost the opposite of fear for them, which is, the dream, the security, what they need to feel secure. And what are their fears? What are some of their greatest fears? Men are not going to want to admit these things. Men are not going to want to show weakness, especially early on in a relationship. So this is not going to be an easy aspect for you. But you can see, based on what they focus on, what they spend their time on, what types of things they try to avoid, whether it's financial insecurity, whether it's being unhealthy, whatever those fears are and whatever actions they take to counteract that should be a very good indicator for you on places where you can provide security. So if they really love their family and you know that the dream for them is to have a family life, and maybe one of their fears is just being alone, or maybe one of their fears is not having a nice family life, and you can start creating some stable experiences of maybe routines or habits around dinners and connecting with family. This is just one example, but really taking the time to discover more about your partner and figuring out what is it that he fears most in this world and what is it that he finds as his kind of blanket of security, and how can I embody that and show that and take action on that? Because the more you can do that and you can allay his fears, the more that you are positioning yourself to be that woman that he wants to commit to. Now, the next part on confirming his suspicions and what this really means. I mean, think about it. That feeling you get when you say, I knew it, or I told you, right? It's like we almost go like, yes, like I knew it. It's an exhilarating thing. People have that need to confirm their suspicion, their gut intuition. And this is what I think. I think that people in general are more intuitive than you may think. And if you have a question about something, if you're wondering, gosh, does he really like me? Why did he wait so long to call me back? What was he doing Saturday night? You need to ask yourself, am I being insecure? Or, do I have a right to be suspicious about what's going on here? Because you have two paths here, okay? You can ignore it and try to gameplay and say, well, I'm not going to say anything here, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try to take the power back or whatever. But I encourage you to have an open discussion, be a little bit more transparent. And if you have a question about something, it's better to just ask. And listen, his answer might actually create more suspicion. That's fine. But I'd rather you ask about something if you're curious and if it's important to the relationship, rather than you trying to remain silent, disingenuous, and game playing. Because he can feel that. He'll get suspicious. Like, what is she doing? What does she suspect? It creates a disconnect. And at the end of the day, if you want to build a deep intimacy, a deep bond, you should be able to openly share your feelings with your partner. And if that scares them away or drives them away, once again, power of polarity, goodbye. You deserve someone who you're going to be able to open up to and speak to honestly. So rather than holding in any suspicions, I encourage you to keep an open communication so you avoid creating that tension between the two of you. And the final part is throwing rocks at their enemies. Now, this is really about kind of going back to the beginning, understanding not only their dream, but their values. What do they truly care about? What type of a man do they want to be? What type of a man do they believe it's important and moral to act like in this world? And what is the opposite of that? And do you agree? Are you aligned? And if so, I don't agree with the idea of you need to throw rocks either literally or figuratively where you're creating an enemy with someone else. However, maybe it's just focusing on, well, if this is the opposite of what I want to be, who do I want to be? What do we want to embody? What values as a couple do we want to act on and portray? Maybe it's about being helpful to our community. Maybe it's about being great family members, or being helpful to the environment, or being someone who just appreciates the people around them or just each other, and making sure that you're taking action. So in a way, that is your way of throwing rocks at the enemies, or throwing rocks at the values or principles or institutions that are completely or go against what you stand for. And this goes back to deeply understanding him. You've got to understand. Once again, this is about understanding him, not as much about you being understood, because you can't influence someone by trying to be understood. You can influence them through understanding who they are and what they truly want. And that's why I don't think manipulation works, because at the end of the day, you're just creating a win-lose situation, which is never going to result in a healthy, happy, lifelong relationship. And I go deep into this in my free training, so you can actually get access. Just click the link beneath this video. You give your email address, you get instant access to a free training. I'm excited for you to check that out. Now, I promised you in the beginning a simple rule that you can think about that will make it really easy for you to apply these principles in this sentence into your life. And we've all heard maybe of the golden rule: treat other people as you would like to be treated. Well, the one rule that I want you to think about is the platinum rule, which you've all heard, but hopefully this gives a different spin on it. The platinum rule is a step up from the golden rule, which says treat people the way they want to be treated. So once again, it's that idea of focusing on them, understanding them, and aligning with them as long as you're aligned, but not being fake, making sure you're authentic. And if you follow these principles, I promise you, this is the fastest way to keep a man's interest, to build that lifelong commitment, and ultimately to set yourself up for a healthy relationship where you're not going to run into the major issues later on because you're addressing them and aligning earlier on. And if you found any value in this video, please just hit the thumbs up like button. It helps this video to be seen by more people. And I want to hear from you. Which part of that one sentence persuasion can you apply today? And if you don't know, ask me in the comments and we'll talk about it. I'd love to have a conversation going there. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is just the start. If you've been part of this crew for a long time, I appreciate you watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Be well.